This is hands down my most used lens underwater. It's sharp, compact, and easy to use. Without a doubt, in my bag every trip I go on, and sometimes the only lens I bring. The Sony 16-35mm PZ f4 might not be a topside shooter's first pick, but underwater, this is the lens you want to use. Let me show you why. Off the bat, physically, this lens has a great compact size. Typically, full-frame lenses tend to be a lot larger and heavier than this lens, so just the size alone gives it an immediate advantage. It's only 353 grams, so in my bag, on my camera, or in my housing, this lens does not add a lot of weight at all. It's only 3.5 inches long and doesn't extend when it zooms, so again, it's compact and it's not going to add any bulk to my system. All this makes it so quick to just backload the camera and lens into the housing and get going. Because the lens uses an external zoom, there is no change in the length of the lens when you zoom. This pairs especially well with domes underwater and maintains the same optical distance no matter where you're zooming from 16 to 35. Now, because this is a wide-angle lens, the ideal setup is with the larger 8-inch dome. And I'll still use that dome whether I'm shooting it on a DL housing or a smaller DLM housing. I've used it behind the shallower compact dome, but I've found that the corners aren't as sharp, so I tend to stick with the larger 8-inch dome. Ultimately, the housing is pretty streamlined with this lens, so using the larger dome doesn't make too much of a difference, especially if I'm on scuba. A while back, I used to shoot a lot underwater with the larger f2.8 version, but I found that the image quality was not significantly better to justify the added weight of a larger lens. So if you're on the fence between the two, for underwater I would go with the f4 PZ version. This lens zooms from a wide 16mm to 35mm, which is a fairly standard wide-angle zoom. Most camera brands will have some sort of variation of this lens. 16mm is great for getting shots of the reef, larger animals, or splits at the surface, and 35 is nice for getting a bit more detail of your subject. Honestly, I usually keep it zoomed out at 16mm, but in a pinch, if I don't want to get close to my subject, like some wildlife for example, I will punch into 35mm, and that zoom range is nice to have. Now, the real advantage of this lens is the power zoom or PZ function, which is basically Sony's way of saying that you can zoom the lens electronically through the camera. Traditionally on land, you'd use a zoom rocker if your camera has one, but if it doesn't, or you're in a underwater housing like most of us are, you can assign custom buttons to the back of your camera to zoom in and out. I usually assign the center button and down button on the D-pad to zoom in and out, and I'll link a video on the screen right now where I'll show you how to set that up in your Sony camera. This means that I don't need a zoom gear at all for this lens, which makes it super easy that I don't have to think about anything when I'm packing or setting up my housing. The autofocus of this lens is powered by two XD linear motors, and they're fast, quiet, and smooth. Practically speaking, it locks onto subjects just fine and barely makes a sound. Another plus is how stable it feels when changing focus. There's almost no focus breathing, which means that the frame doesn't shift or zoom when racking focus between subjects. PZ lenses are more geared towards video shooting, so this stems from Sony's effort to make the lens better at shifting focus between subjects during a shot. The close focus ability is also impressive. You can focus down to 11 inches at the wide end and just over 9 inches at 35mm. This lets me get right up to my subject for close focus wide angle shots, which are always fun to shoot underwater. Like most lenses, the autofocus performance mostly depends on the camera model that you're shooting on, but across all the Sony models that I've shot, this lens has been quick and reliable. Alright, that's my breakdown of this compact killer lens, the Sony 16-35mm PZ f4. If I missed anything or you have any other questions, please drop them in the comments down below or shoot us an email to ikelite@ikelite.com.